Hi, IB Language and Literature. Today we are going to talk about essay structure, what that is, and you're going to complete your practice document while you are working. So while you watch this lesson, I will tell you at various times to pause and complete the next section of your essay structure practice document. So I'll tell you to pause and complete the first section, second, so on and so forth. When I tell you to pause, please do so and complete that practice section before you move on. So first of all, what is structure? We're talking about essay structure in this lesson today. So we know what essays are. They are writing assignments that you usually do for English classes, but what is structure in particular? You can see in the word structure, struct, which you can also see in words like construction and construct and structural. They all have to do with the way something is put together, the building, so like construction, you're putting together something. You're constructing a Lego set, you're putting together the Lego pieces in the order that you want them to go. So structure really has to do with how something is put together. So for an essay, we are talking about how the essay is put together, not how to write the essay in its content, but the order in which the pieces go. Just like if you were building a Lego structure, you wouldn't put the foundational flat piece on the very top because it would not, everything would fall over. So structure really has to do with the order in which things are supposed to go in an essay. So quick overview of essay structure. In an essay, you really have three sections. You've got your introduction, your body, and your conclusion. The body of the essay is the largest part. It takes up the vast majority of your essay, but you're really repeating the same moves over and over again in the body of your essay. Your introduction usually has a hook or an attention grabber, something to get the reader interested. Your summary of the text that you are analyzing, because that's what we usually write essays about in English class, and your thesis statement. Your thesis statement guides the rest of the essay. It is like the blueprint for that building. It tells you what goes first, what's coming second, what's coming third. I usually like to think of it as a roadmap, but I know that most of you don't drive, and so that's not necessarily a good metaphor. But think about a blueprint of a building. The blueprint is going to tell you which pieces need to go when, or like like a Lego instruction booklet. You start with step 1, you don't start with step 62 because then you can't see which pieces were supposed to be in there. The thesis statement is like that instruction booklet. It tells you exactly which steps are coming next. After the thesis statement, which is the last sentence of your introduction, comes your body. The body of your essay is where you are explaining your thesis statement. Each body paragraph should have a topic sentence that directly connects back to the thesis statement, evidence and explanation, which gets repeated depending on how much evidence you have for each paragraph, and then a transition sentence that leads you into the next body paragraph. And then the final section of the essay is that conclusion where you review the main points of your essay and you have some sort of parting thought or call to action that usually connects back to your hook at the beginning of the essay. There should not be any new information provided in the conclusion. The conclusion is just finishing it up, tying it with a bow, saying we are all done. All right, so let's talk about the prompt and the thesis statement, because the thesis statement really is the most important part of the essay. Now, when you're writing an essay, you will always be responding to a prompt of some sort. So I'm going to provide you with some examples, and then you're going to practice this process of responding to a prompt with a thesis statement. The thesis statement should respond directly to the prompt in one sentence. So for example, here's a prompt. Analyze how the author's use of language contributes to a specific effect. That's the prompt. That's the write about this thing. So then the thesis statement should directly respond to the different pieces of the prompt. So here's the example thesis statement. Margaret Atwood's use of diction, metaphor, and imagery build to the claim that oppression can lead to a loss of identity. So first, you have the author's name. Always name the author. You really should have the text in there, but in this thesis statement, I mentioned the title of the book right before, so I didn't put it in the thesis statement. And then you have the use of language, the author choices, diction, metaphor, and imagery. And then ultimately you have to name that specific effect as well. So the specific effect for this one is the claim that oppression can lead to a loss of identity. So this is my thesis statement, my guiding sentence, my blueprint for the rest of my building. And I can tell from this thesis statement that I will have 3 body paragraphs. Why will I have 3? Because I have 3 author choices. And in each of those body paragraphs, I will explain how diction leads to this effect, how metaphor leads to this effect, and how imagery leads to this effect. So body paragraph 1 will be about diction, 2 will be about metaphor, 3 will be about imagery. But remember, the key thing with this is that your thesis statement must respond directly to the prompt. What I want you to do right now is complete the thesis statement practice section of your notes doc. Click pause on this video and complete that practice section now. Go. You should have completed the thesis statement practice section. If you did not, please click pause and go finish that now. We're going to move forward with the lesson. Now, transition center, where does a thesis statement go in the introduction? So if your thesis statement is your most important sentence in your essay, where does it go? It goes as the last sentence in your introduction. So your introduction introduces the ideas of the essay. So you will always provide a summary of the text that you are reading, and you will always provide some sort of hook or attention grabber. And then the last sentence needs to be that thesis statement. It's like if you were giving a presentation about this construction project that you're working on, you wouldn't come to the people that you're asking money for and just give them the blueprint first thing. First, you would start with the ideas. First, you would start with, why do we need this new apartment complex? Let me tell you how it's going to enhance the downtown environment of Germantown, Maryland. And then once they're like on board, then you say, here's my blueprint. Same thing with your thesis statement. You start with the ideas of the essay, you summarize the text that you're writing about, and then the last sentence is your thesis statement, which tells your reader, this is where we're going next. Now, after the thesis statement, you really need to focus on how the thesis statement connects to the topic sentences, because the topic sentences are like miniature thesis statements. They're like, the thesis statement is the parent, the topic sentences are the children, and then and each of them has to connect to each other. So you can see in the model that I provided for you, Margaret Atwood's use of diction, metaphor, and imagery build to the claim that oppression can lead to a loss of identity. Topic sentence 1. Atwood's diction contributes to her argument that oppression can lead to a loss of identity. So you can see right here, diction is the author choice, and I'm repeating my claim. The argument that oppression can lead to a loss of identity. Topic sentence 2. Atwood further develops her ideas about a loss of identity through her use of metaphor. So as you can see, they go in the topic sentences go in the order of the thesis statement. Topic sentences will feel repetitive. They are supposed to be repetitive. They are signs to the reader of what the next paragraph is about. That's all they are. They are not there to provide brand new information. They are reminders to the reader, hey, this is what the next paragraph is about. So keep that in mind when you're writing your essay. You are writing for a reader, and you want to make sure that the reader remembers your central claim, and so you keep repeating it. So topic sentences have to match the thesis statement. What I want you to do right now is practice creating topic sentences that match the thesis statement in order and in content. Go do that practice right now. Pause the video and complete the topic sentence practice section. You should be done with the topic sentence practice section of your notes document, and now we are moving forward. Now, after your topic sentences, the next part of your body paragraph is going to be your evidence. In our Lego construction, that's the next piece. So if the thesis statement is the foundation, Topic sentence is level 1. We're moving on to the evidence, which is really the meat and potatoes. Evidence and explanation is the, I'm mixing so many metaphors on you. The evidence and the explanation is really the meat of the essay. These are the hard parts. Your evidence should be a quotation or a paraphrase from the text that supports your claim of that paragraph, your topic sentence. So sticking with our same idea, Atwood's diction contributes to her argument that oppression can lead to a loss of identity. So if you had 3 evidence sentences, which are here on my screen, provided to you, which one would be the best option if my claim is that diction contributes to the argument? So option number 1, powdering the dancers with a snow of light. Option number 2, the use of the word exchanged for when the girls said their names to each other. Or option number 3, we had flannelette sheets like children's and army issue blankets, old ones that still said US. Stop, think. We're looking for diction. Yeah, option 2, the green option. Hopefully you said that out loud already. The green option, because diction is a focus on word, specific word choice. That's what diction is. So number 2 is a specific word. That's the only one that's going to fit. So remember that your evidence must match your claim. So for an example, right here, your evidence should have context, or to continue this same idea. So you have to have evidence that matches your topic sentence. What else does your evidence have to have? Your evidence has to have context. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that your reader of your essay does not know what this book is about. So you have to tell them what's going on in that scene before you drop the evidence in there, before you drop in a quotation or a paraphrase. So you should have context and some sort of lead-in or signal phrase to tell the reader that the evidence is coming. So again, same topic sentence, Atwood's diction contributes to her argument that oppression can lead to a loss of identity. So this would be my evidence for that essay. When the reader is introduced to the handmaids in the first scene of the book, the girls are supposed to be silently sleeping in an old gymnasium. But instead, the girls are sharing names by nonverbal mouth movements. Atwood specifically uses the word exchanged for when the girls mouthed their names to each other. Now, the only sentence in there that really is my evidence is that last one, where I provide a specific diction choice. So why did I provide all that previous stuff in the sentence before? That is the context from where the quotation comes from. Because if I just told you Atwood uses the word exchanged, your reader would be totally lost because they don't know what this book is about. So you need to provide that context. What's going on in the text at the moment when that quote comes up? So when you provide your evidence, you must have context and you must have a signal phrase, also known as a lead-in to a quotation. So you can see on this previous page right here, the use of the word exchanged for when the girls said their names to each other. There's no signal phrase there. The signal phrase tells you that a quote is coming. So naming the author and using a transition word like said or uses will help your reader to transition into your quotation. So Atwood specifically uses the word exchanged for when the girls mouthed their names to each other. So you're going to practice creating those signal phrases. So the evidence section of your practice document, you should do right now. Pause the video, complete the evidence practice, and then replay this video or click play on this video to do the next section. Good. You should be done with your evidence practice section of your notes document, and now we are moving forward together. Explanation. The next part of an essay in your essay structure, in the way that it is built, is the explanation. Explanation is the hardest part of the essay. It's the hardest part because you have to connect the dots for your reader. You have to explain to your reader how the evidence you provided supports your claim. So it really requires the most critical thinking and creativity in your essay. So some of the things that your explanation needs. you will probably need definitions. If you're talking about the simile in the text, you might need to remind the reader what a simile is. Or if you're talking about irony in the text, you might need to remind your reader what irony is, or juxtaposition. If you need to provide definitions, provide those definitions. Context of evidence. You should have already done that with the evidence itself, but if you didn't, then you need to provide that context in your explanation. And then this one, the hardest part, explaining how the evidence supports the claim. Connect the dots for the reader. And then last, one way to extend your evidence would be to think, what would change if it wasn't this way? So how would the text change if Margaret Atwood had said, the girls shared their names instead of the girls exchanged their names? How would the text change if Margaret Atwood had said, the girls provided their names, or the girls announced their names? How would it change the text? What is it about the word exchanged that tells us something about this community in which they live? So keep that in mind when you're writing your explanation. How would the text change if the author had not done that move? Now, there are some things to avoid in your explanation. Avoid the phrase, this shows that. Avoid pronouns like this in general, because this is very unspecific. Instead of saying this is black, you say the coffee cup is black. When you use pronouns like this, the reader does not know what you're talking about. So try to be specific. So instead of saying this shows that, you can write Margaret Atwood's use of the word exchanged helps the reader understand that. And then your listener knows what the this is. It's Margaret Atwood's use of the word exchanged, and then can transition into the claim that you are making, that this use of the word exchanged builds our understanding of oppression in the text. Also, avoid the phrase trying to say. Margaret Atwood is trying to say, no, Margaret Atwood already said it. What you are doing is you are building meaning from the text. If anybody's trying anything, it's the writer. It's you. It's us. It's the writers of the essay. So when you are writing your essay, instead of saying Margaret Atwood is trying to say, you could rephrase it as the text seems to be saying, or a reader could understand this as, or in some way rephrase it so that way we're not saying that the writer is trying to say, because Margaret Atwood published her work exactly how she wanted it to be. She wasn't trying to say anything else. She is saying what she said. You are making meaning of what she said. So try to avoid that phrase. And then last, but most importantly, think like a reader. What does my reader need to understand in order to see the connection between my evidence and my claim? What do I need to explain about the word exchanged in order for my reader to understand that that word builds these ideas about oppression? So think like a reader. What does my reader need to know? What does my reader not know yet? And how can I make my ideas clearer? Your explanation will be long. It will usually be 3 to 5 sentences following your evidence, because you have to really clearly connect those dots between the evidence, the author choice, and your claim. All right, it is time to complete the explanation practice section of your notes document now. Please pause the video and complete that section now. Good. You should have completed the explanation practice section of your document. We are moving forward together to the final section. So the conclusion of your essay, we talked about your introduction, your thesis statement, your body paragraphs, which include your topic sentences, evidence, and explanation. Now we're talking about your conclusion. The conclusion is the final paragraph of the essay, and it really wraps up the ideas of your essay for your reader. Your conclusion has to have a review of your main ideas. What are the big things that you want your reader to walk away with? So think about the topic sentences. what did you say in your topic sentences, and how can we review those for the reader? Because if you talked about diction in body paragraph number 1, they probably forgot about it by the end of the essay. So remind them what you talked about in each paragraph. And then you need some sort of exit sentence or sentences. Is there a call to action that you could write at the end of your essay? Is there a suggestion that you have for the reader? Can you connect back to the book? Can you talk about the significance of the text? So for Handmaid's Tale, is Margaret Atwood warning us of something? Should we be aware of something when it comes to oppression in our society? Some sort of closing sentence. And hopefully that closing sentence will connect to the hook or the attention grabber that you wrote at the beginning of your essay, because it kind of makes for just a neat ending for the essay when you connect back to those introduction ideas. In your conclusion, do not introduce new ideas. Do not tell us something new about the author or about the text itself. Do not provide any quotations or evidence from the text, and do not get off topic. Your conclusion should be concise, it should be clear, and it should really just end the essay reminding the readers of your main points, because you want your reader to walk away remembering, oh yeah, this essay was about how Margaret Atwood's literary devices built toward an idea of oppression. This book is about oppression. You want them remembering your main idea. All right, complete and submit your practice document. Well done and good focus.